To begin, we need to be able to select which button that we need to be able to click on to automate. So I'm going to go ahead and inspect one of these elements, like so, and we see that it's a button within this UI UL class right here. And there's nothing to key off except for this key up here, roll dialog, which is this whole modal pop-up. So I'm going to pull this code over and start showing you how to write this. I'm going to go open to a new file. I'm going to set this file to be JavaScript. Thank you. And let's start off by creating a class called Instagram follow, like this. And let's create a constructor like this. And there we go. Okay, great. So in order to select that button, we're going to do a document query selector. So I'm just going to do some freehand code here. Document dot query selector. And then we are going to want to get a div element, div, that has a attribute property called role that says dialog, like so. And then we want to get the unordered list, the child of it. Great. So we get that, and let's set this to list.ul list. Great. Cool. So if we run this, we get that whole section highlighted there. Awesome. Okay, we can actually drag this over, give us a little bit more reading space. Perfect. So we don't want all of them. We only want the ones that say follow in them. So we are going to go ahead and do that here. So if we wanted to filter this down, we're going to need to search for the text that is inside of it. So starting off, the UL list that we get is not selecting the LI items yet. So we are going to do that by taking the UL list and doing a query selector on it and getting all the buttons. So for fun, let's go ahead and just say this dot all the buttons equals not document, since we already have this, list dot query selector, and we want all of them, not just one. So do that, and let's get us the ones that say button. Okay, awesome. So if we run that, actually let's just run it exactly like what we have. Thank you. Alright, and then this dot all buttons dot not count dot list dot count. Whoops, my mind just right on this thing. It's dot length, my bad. Dot length. Okay, so there's 48 buttons. Awesome. Okay, but we don't want all the buttons. And what's interesting, this the query selector all returns back a list index, something like that, but we want it as an array. So we can use ES6 syntax to take this guy and spread it into an array. There we go. Now it is an array for us, so we can do things like filter, which we're about to do. So let's go ahead and filter this guy. So we're going to go this dot all buttons dot filter. Get a button on here, and then we're going to say if the button dot text content 1 2 3 whoa 2 3 is the word follow, we want that. Wow, that really spaced out. Okay, and then we will call this is our this dot follow buttons, like that. Okay, so if we run these three things, well, we can't run all three. They'll get mad at us. Let's just run this one. Okay, cool. And if we do that again, we get length 48, so this should trim that down. This dot follow buttons. Alright, then we're going to do this dot follow buttons dot length 24. Great. So we trim that down. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is we want to be able to click on one of these. So actually, if we come up here to the very first follow, which I think it's this one right here, we can go this dot follow buttons dot click. Let's do the first one. Whoops. Follow buttons. Oh, whoops. Let's do that again. We did that a little bit backwards. 0 dot click. Yep, and it clicks it. Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and start automating this. So the first thing we want to do is we want to scroll down to how many people we want to follow. So we're going to make a function on our Instagram follow that is called scroll loop. How far down do we want to scroll on the page? So let's do that. Scroll loop like that. And then we are going to make it, so we want it to return a promise to let us know when it's finished scrolling and counting the number of people before we continue on. So we're going to return a new promise like this, and a new promise takes a function, and it has two parameters. That takes the resolve parameter and a reject that we need to call. Okay, and so what we want to do is we want to do an interval. So we want to scroll over things. We don't want to pound the server, so we're going to wait a second before we scroll. So we're going to go const scroll interval, and then we're going to go equals set interval. And this takes a function as well, like this, and then also takes a how often do you want to loop. So it's 1,000 milliseconds, which equals 1 second. Send that like that. Let's kick this down. So every second, I want you to do this thing. All right. So we'd actually need to come here and scroll this guy. So up here in our constructor, we are going to change this. We're going to add another property to our guy, which gets us the element that we want to scroll, which is this right here. The unordered list, the parent of it, just the immediate parent. So let's get that. So it's this dot scroll container equals this dot ul list, dot parent element. Okay, so that should give us the parent. So now that we have that, we are going to scroll on it, which is going to be this dot scroll container dot scroll to, scroll to, and then say, okay, where do we want you to scroll to? We want to go to the bottom. This is the XY coordinate, and then of what? I want you to scroll to the bottom of the unordered list dot scroll height. So whatever the height is of that unordered list, I want you to go to the bottom of it. Scroll height. Okay, so that will scroll us down to the bottom. And then we want to do, so we need to get all the buttons. So we're actually going to take this code here, because every time it scrolls down, we need to tell it to get all the buttons again, and then get all the follow buttons, and see if it equals the amount of people we want to follow. Okay, so we're going to move that there. Whoops, let's tab that in. This code doesn't need to be here anymore. And while we're here, let's go ahead and pass in max follows. So we go max follows. So whenever we initialize this, we tell it how many we want to follow. So we're going to set it to default. So if you just run this code, it's not going to follow anyone. But we will tell it, we'll give it a parameter that can be passed in. Okay, cool. So we got that. So that will continuously grab them. And let's increase this font size just to make sure this is easy for everyone to read. Let me scroll this over just a little bit. Okay. All right, so now we've got the follow buttons. We are going to want to tell it when to stop. So we're going to say, hey, if this dot follow buttons dot length is greater than or equal to this dot max follow. I wanted to hit max follows. Okay. Okay, so if it equals the max follows, this is where we need to tell it to stop. So we're going to clear the interval, which is the scroll interval, like that, and we're going to resolve. So we're done. Awesome. Great, we got that every 1,000 seconds. Perfect. So now it's going to scroll down until it has gathered enough people to follow, enough buttons to click, pretty much. So now we need to loop through and click them. Let's do that. So we're going to create another interval that is our loop follow. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to go loop follow like this. And then we are going to do, it's a promise as well, so it's going to return a new promise. And not like that. It takes a function. Let's get some, okay, and we're going to get resolve and reject. Okay, and inside here we're going to do an index, let index, because we're going to be looping over this with a custom loop. Okay, it's 0. And we're going to do a const click interval equals set interval. It's going to look pretty similar to the one that we just wrote down in the scroll loop. Okay, cool. All right, and inside here we want this to be every second as well. Sure, why not? Okay, and now inside here we're going to go this dot follow buttons, and we're going to get the index, and we're going to dot click. So we're going to click on whatever index we're at. All right, and then we have to increment this, so index plus plus, like so. And then we need to do some logic here. So hey, if we've reached the max, we need to stop this thing. If it's greater than or equal to this dot follow buttons dot length. Okay. Whoa. Okay. So if we hit to this point, we're going to clear the interval. We don't need it. Biscuits. Clear interval, which is the click interval. Click interval. Click interval. And we need to resolve. Like that. Whew. Okay. So loop. Got it. Got this thing. Scroll loop. Good, 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 good. So now we need a way to start this. So let's create another function called start. It doesn't take any parameters. It just begins. And we're going to use the fancy async to make this look a little bit cleaner. So we're going to say async since we're dealing with promises. We're going to go await this dot scroll loop like that. So that should kick off our first one down below. And then we're going to say await this dot loop follow like that. Okay. And whenever it's that done, let's do an alert that says done following, and then we're going to go, let's use our fancy syntax here. So give me a second. Let's turn this into our grave markers like that, and go with this dot follow buttons dot length. Okay, and then we are going to return null because this is a promise, and so it does expect something to be returned. And yeah, I think we wrote it. Let's run this thing and see if we get any errors. So I'm going to come over here, refresh this page. Let's go to a different person. So let's see who he's following. Sure, let's go to this person. They have 118 followers. Awesome. I'm going to come to our console, paste this in. Didn't get mad yet. So we're going to go const Instagram follow equals new Instagram follow, and we want to do 50. Let's just tune this down to like 10 and go. So far it hasn't blown yet. Let's start. Okay, we're looping. Oh, UL list is not defined. Okay, so it's gonna get mad at me, so refresh. Alright, so let's see. The UL list is not defined. Where are we doing UL list? Oh, right here. That would do it. So this.ul list, and then this. Okay, so let's try that again. Following. Grab that again. Paste. Go. Up arrow, up arrow. Oop, scroll down. I can't see what's going on. 10 people. And then start. Oh no, it's still going on forever. Something's not right. No. Okay, so we got something wrong where it still just scrolls and scrolls and scrolls and scrolls. Okay, so scroll loop, set interval, scroll, container. Okay, that's that. This to all buttons, this.uls, query selector. button. Okay, good. This dot all buttons filter button. This dot follow buttons dot length is greater than or equal to this dot max follows. Let me make sure we didn't mess this up here. This dot follow buttons dot length is greater than or equal to this dot max follows. Clear interval, scroll, resolve. Okay, we are getting there. We're so close, guys. All right, let's see. What do we need to do? Scroll to. Yep. This dot all buttons. Dot dot dot. This dot ULS query selector button. Okay, that works. This dot follow buttons equals this dot all buttons dot filter button. Button text content triple equals follow. If this follow button dot length is greater than or equal to this dot max follows, which that should be right. Ooh, we never signed it, so this dot max follows equals max follows, like that. Okay, there we go. Oops, not saving that. Okay, let's try that again. So the issue was we didn't say it max follows to this dot max follows. Okay, so we're going to copy this. Let's refresh this page. Okay, great. And so we are going to open up their following. Go in here, plop, enter, up arrow, want 10, and start. There we go. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, 10. Maybe I miscounted. Done following 10. Okay, guys, that's how it is. This code will be up on my GitHub account. I will have a TypeScript version of it that's a bit stronger typed. And yeah, let me know what other videos you guys would like to see that I can help automate. And like and subscribe. That would help so much. Thanks, guys.